Hello and good morning. Today we will discuss on the topic of the upcoming UN conference. On the 23rd of June, the United Nations Environment Program, or UNEP, a council of the UN that focuses on environmental problems and improving quality of life of the people, will begin a conference on the topic of sustainable development of electric vehicles, a topic very relevant uh, to the increasingly urgent climate change and the automobile market development in recent times. Countries from around the world will discuss on how best to handle this issue. The UN has set goals to achieve net zero emissions by 2050, which means decreasing greenhouse emissions from everything to zero by the next 2.5 decades. And as you can see in this graph, Uh, road transportations covers almost 12% of global greenhouse emissions, and EV have a high potential to decrease it. So in practice, even if all vehicles are replaced with EV, it still doesn't automatically eliminate all emissions, as there are still many things to consider, such as emissions from charging facilities, uh, vehicle manufacturing, material acquisition, uh, and even energy generation is needed to power the vehicles. And yeah, considerations need to include the full cycle of the vehicles. Countries need to build new infrastructures to be able to accommodate electric vehicles like charging stations and battery charging stations. The more electric vehicles there are, the more electricity will be needed, which would also mean electricity generators' capability need to be increased and electricity might get more expensive. These problems are one of the handful of problems the government of the countries will need to tackle, and hopefully will be discussed and supported by the UN when they will inevitably adopt EV. On the bright side, as reaching net zero emissions become supported more and more, the climate urgency and the dangers that comes with it becomes more and more imminent. The public opinion on electric vehicles is higher than ever. On this graph, it is shown that market growth projections for the EV market is skyrocketing from around 220 billion in 2022 to 950 billion in 2030, more than four-fold increase in the coming 7 years. This, coupled with the fact that the cost of EV has become considerably more affordable and continuing to decrease, with major countries such as USA and China investing in its investigations and research in the past decade, uh, will make the adoption of EV a more viable outlook for the future. The many delegates participating in the coming conference will have to tackle these problems and more, and also come up with solutions to improve the current situation and make development of EV more sustainable.